Hold on, guys. Just making sure everything's coming through. All right. I think we're all good. What is going on, everybody? Thought I'd hop on here, go live, talk to you guys for a little bit about the news going on in Mets land right now. I was out for the last 3-4-ish days. Wasn't feeling very well. And for those of you who don't know, I am one of the biggest babies while I'm sick, so I really could not focus on anything whatsoever. But luckily, we've pretty much been stalling in this Carlos Correa. Too many Carloses. Sorry. This Carlos Correa news right now as we look to see if they can finalize a contract. We have seen that it's only a Mets game right now. But for those of you who are watching right now, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we inch closer and closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, which, I mean, we are... but yeah, for those of you in here, give us your questions. Sorry, I'm just making sure everything is flowing through, trying to get back into the swing of things, because it was a little bit crazy these past few days. But for those of you who have not liked the stream, hit that subscribe button to get us to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by opening day. But it looks like we're going to hit it in a few days, which is crazy. And you guys let us know what you guys want us to do for those 1,000 subscribers, whether you want us to go live or do some videos or whatever. I've not figured anything out yet, but I'm pretty much rambling at this point. We're 2 minutes in, and I still haven't played the intro. So let me play the intro, and then we'll get into pretty much everything going on in Mets land. All right. Well, for those of you in here, for those who have missed pretty much everything that has been going on in Mets land, it's just been Carlos Correa. That's pretty much all we have heard. We've heard some trade talks, some trade rumors of some pieces on this Mets team. And I did make a video about that solo of 6 players who most likely will not return in 2023. Again, I have no sources with that, but based on the acquisition of Carlos Carrasco, it most likely looks like those guys will be expendable into the next season. And I'm just going to change something up that my OCD cannot handle. Give me a second. Justin, what is going on? Roger, how are you doing? What's any news? So tired of it. Yeah, I mean, I really want to really cover something else besides this Carlos Correa news, even though it is extremely exciting to have a player of this caliber on our team, obviously. But, I mean, it's definitely been quite the saga. It's been 12 days since the announcement came that he is switching from the Giants over to the Mets, obviously, and they're restructuring this deal. And it's kind of just stalled recently. And, it's one of those situations where it's like, no news is good news, or good news is no good news is bad. Like, you know what I mean? No, Jesus Christ. It's come to a point where no news is good news and no news is bad news. Like, we don't really know what's going on. We know that it's kind of just behind closed doors right now. And, from the indications, it looks like Correa will be a Met, but it's going to take a while before that gets full on official. And we have our press conference of Correa in a Mets jersey. So, let's see. I don't see the jersey. Yeah, it has not been. I have not put out it yet. It is made, but I will be putting something out on there. Wardy, what's going on, man? I just saw a report that the Mets are actively shopping Escobar. Yeah, we talked about that on the last episode of the podcast. That was something that we went over basically, I mean, it's kind of just a lack of flexibility type of thing with the Mets bench. And we've talked about this so many times. You look at it, you have three infielders, three primary infielders of the bench pool, where it's Escobar, you have Beatty, and you have, Jesus Christ, Guillorme. There you go. Then you have your three catchers, of course. You have Narvaez, Nito, and Alvarez. And then these three DHs, where it's Vogelbach, Ruff, and Vientos. So, I mean, there's a very big lack of flexibility. You still don't have this fourth outfielder and stuff like that. And that's something that they're looking for. There's been guys that they have been linked to. AJ Pollock is a name that they've brought up. They have brought up a name like Adam Duvall, who I'm not really that fond in bringing in because I don't really think he really helps in this scenario besides for power. And then, there's been other, Jerickson Profar, there's been mutual interest about that as well. But, that's just kind of been stalled so far. This entire crazy offseason that started, obviously, in the winter meetings a few weeks ago with Verlander coming in and Kodai Senga signing. And then you also had, Jose Quintana come in, the trade for Brooks Raley, the Nimmo extension. I mean, all this stuff has pretty much been paused for Carlos Correa. And it is for a good reason. Carlos Correa is Carlos Correa, and, he is one of the best players in all of baseball. But, it's definitely getting a little bit of it's getting a little annoying, obviously, because we don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. But that's basically how Cohen has established he wants to do it. He wants to have it behind those closed doors. And that's pretty much how it is right now. You think we should release Vogelbach and Ruff and sign Andrew McCutchen, Trey Mancini? I mean, I want Trey Mancini. I would love Trey Mancini. I really think that in this entire realm of how the power dynamic is with this lineup, it still does lack a little bit of power support towards the bottom, obviously, because the bottom of the lineup was not producing. It was going through Pete Alonso last year. And I would love to have an extra power bat that can play another position. But yeah, I don't know. Vogelbach. I mean, I don't care if Vogelbach stays or not, but he cannot be one of the three DHs that we have here. Especially from what we're hearing about them wanting to have Alvarez as a bat, which I don't like. I would like him to be the starting catcher. But, bringing in that whole thing with Narvaez and everything, and, Nito still being here, obviously James McCann being traded, he was the odd man out because, well, he sucks donkey shit. And then, I feel like, two from each category would be on the loose if they were to move those guys out. And I will say that Vogelbach is one of those guys who is on that list of guys who most likely won't come back in 2023. That was a video that I posted 4 days ago, something like that. Vogelbach was on there. I mean, the main idea behind guys who won't come back, I mean, nothing against them as players, to be honest. I mean, they all bring in their production when they need to bring in that production, and they do whatever they do well. Besides Darren Ruff, I don't even know what the fuck he's doing here. But, I think it's all about the lack of flexibility. And we really have talked about this so much. Again, like I said, in this possible bench pool there's about 9 typical guys that don't even include a fourth outfielder. Your fourth outfielder is your starting second baseman right now. So that's what you're looking at. Yeah, I think Vogelbach is a guy that you could, and I mean you could, and I made this point in the video, and I'll say it again because I think it's well out there now. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead. Our most recent video. Vogelbach's value really has not decreased at all since he came to the Mets, and what he went for to the Pirates, obviously, this is a Pirates organization that has definitely made some shitty trades, but the market for Vogelbach is basically a controllable reliever. And you look at it right now, with this controllable reliever, it'd be nice to have another one. And would it be nice to have kept Colin Holderman, considering how it kind of panned out towards the end of the season, with, Vogelbach being a productive piece, but still very limited? Yes. I don't like how they approach that trade deadline, but that's in the past at this point. I would love for them to fix that flexibility. And again, Escobar should be the DH. He's a switch hitter with most of the same numbers as Correa. Now, the thing is that you could put Escobar at the DH. You could put him at the DH position, but it doesn't really improve the bottom of the lineup as you think it does. I also think Escobar is one of those guys that has to play every day and play his position, even though he doesn't play it well. That's just kind of how he is. And I think that there's, I don't like to bring in the contract as much as the criteria for this, but for a guy making $10 million, you expect him to be playing a position as well. So again, and we've talked about this before, you move Escobar, it could open up, possibly the space of that 10 million coming out the books. And again, this is not something to be concerned about because of Steve Cohen's deep wallet, but you look at it from one point to another. You could move Escobar, and then that could possibly open up the possibility of putting up space to, bring in another reliever. Maybe that reliever is Andrew Chafin. Maybe you load up the pen even more. You also have another possibility of, turn that one guy who can play just one or two positions in the infield into, I've talked about this before, moving Escobar, that 10 million clears up two possible bench spots, two possible money for bench spots known as Jerickson Profar and Chad Pinder, who can both play the infield and the outfield. So you have your backup at infielder, or your second string infielder behind Guillorme, and you have your fourth outfielder. And basically, your depth chart is even deeper because they both can play that position. So there you go. Profar and Pinder. I mean, those are just another. I mean, there's other guys who are flexible enough. Another guy I would love to do to replace a possibility of Ruff and Naquin is, a guy like Robbie Grossman, a guy who destroys left-handed pitching overall. Didn't have that good of a season this year. But if you look at his numbers against left-handed pitching, he's one of the best in the game. So if you want a corner outfielder like Naquin, who can play serviceable defense, right, and also can kill lefties, that cancels out two players, such as Ruff and Naquin, replaces both of them. And you do that with one player, with a guy like Robbie Grossman. But then you also could, replace somebody else on the bench with, like I said, Profar or Pinder, who can play the infield and the outfield and give you value for them. Don't forget we got Danny Mendick. Yeah, we did get Danny Mendick. Menschlong, or whatever the hell you want to call him. But yeah. That's another possibility. And I think he is going to be on our bench. And that also brings up the possibility of Escobar being shopped. I saw a report today about the Marlins inquiring about Eduardo Escobar. I saw something about that. I mean, if they could get like a young reliever or a young pitcher controllable, I wouldn't mind it. Moving $10 million, I'm fine with it for a guy who's going to be limited no matter what. I mean, I talked about this in the video with Escobar. If they bring in Correa, and it's most likely they're going to, it's just going to take a while. Correa comes in, plays third base. That limits Escobar either way. Okay, well, Escobar, you can move him to the bench. That's again lacks the flexibility of all these options of, Mark Vientos, who could play third base, but I wouldn't recommend it. Luis Guillorme, who can play third base, second base, and shortstop. You're basically, you're bloating up that pool if you move Escobar to the bench. He could play the outfield. He's played the outfield before, but he's getting older, and I don't think they're going to trust him out there in the outfield. Even though they are starved for outfield depth, I think that they bring in another piece, and I think Danny Mendick will be a guy that's there on the depth chart over Eduardo Escobar for the outfield. So I just feel like Escobar is probably the odd man out here, and I hate to say that. I feel like the $10 million that you are paying him could go towards other flexible pieces on the roster. It's nothing against Escobar, even though I wasn't really a fan of the signing when they did bring him in. It's nothing against Escobar as, that or this. I feel like, with Carlos Correa here long term, and we did have a video about this, but we kind of scrapped it. Kind of just there's a little bit, and maybe if Andrew comes in here later, we can talk about that. But a lot of fans are talking about, well, trade Beatty, right? Because Correa is going to be here for the next 12 years, and Beatty is going to be blocked. But then we're also hearing that a lot of Mets fans want to keep Eduardo Escobar, who is not a long-term piece, is not a controllable piece long-term. So I also want to remind people with Escobar. I know people want to keep him, but here's the reality. Aside from that September that he had, he really wasn't that good offensively. And I'm going to tell you right now, he had a pretty good April, had a decent July, I guess. And then September, he just went nuts. And of course, September is when it matters. But if we're going to give a guy $10 million, if we're going to pay a guy $10 million, be off the bench because he's going to be behind Correa. Correa is going to play every day. I understand that he's going to, I understand that Correa will have his injuries or whatever. That's pretty much what the concern is and the holdup of this contract is. But Escobar is not a long-term piece, and he is an expiring free agent, and which is something that the Mets don't really do well with is, managing these assets as to where they're leaving in free agency. That they're not going to be, long-term pieces. That they're not coming back because you have that. Because you have, sorry guys, because you have, Correa and everything, but I think that, let me restart that, okay? Let me restart that. Sorry, I'm still getting back in the swing of things. It's been a tough past couple of 72 hours, so bear with me. You have an expiring free agent who has limited, who has a limited job with Carlos Correa coming in here no matter what. He's going to come off the bench. You're going to give him $10 million to just come off the bench. He's an expiring free agent. It'd be nice to get assets back for him to address other pieces on the roster, obviously, because he's not going to be here long term. And that's the same thing that goes for Carlos Carrasco as well, because you're not going to bring him back the next year. And that's a better alternative than just letting him walk in free agency for nothing. I'm one of the firm believers that they should have shopped. I'm one of the believers that they should have shopped. What's it called? They should have shopped Taijuan Walker on the trade market at the trade deadline to maybe turn him into two arms or something like that, or turn into a prospect or two that they can turn into another arm. But I guess not. I'm still very confident the deal goes through, and if the Mets let him go, he isn't getting a long-term contract. Yeah. Also, any news on the Discord server? Discord server will be out whenever it's out. I think we'll probably announce it and drop it whenever. And he seems like he doesn't want to come to the Mets. What? Correa? Well, here's where we're at right now. The rumors that have gone out so far, and again, this is going behind closed doors, so this is all that we've just heard, correct? With Correa right now, Correa wants to be a Met. The Mets want Correa. It looks like a deal was agreed upon, but they're waiting for approval from the major leagues, from the Major League Baseball, the higher up. So basically Manfred. Manfred's got to put his stamp on it. That looks like what the deal is right now. The rumors are that, during this next week, it could be announced, but we don't know yet, right? We don't really know what the whole situation is. Again, like I said, no news is good news and no news is bad news. So we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but from what we've heard recently, some teams that have contacted Boris or Correa about possibly signing if this deal falls through, they have been told that this is a Mets game. Like the Mets are the only team. They are isolating Correa, the Mets. They're in one room right now, and no one is thinking otherwise. Because I think from what we're seeing from the point of view of Boris and from the Mets, it definitely is a risky business if he does not end up as a Met. From the Cohen side, Cohen has already spoken publicly about Carlos Correa, which could be he could face some penalties with that. Of course, he did. He opened his mouth a little too soon. Obviously, this was when he thought that he was going to the Giants, but he did have something involved with that where they said, okay, well, we did make him an offer, but it just didn't go through with the Giants. So he spoke a little too soon. And then, obviously this whole story comes out about him pivoting from the Giants to the Mets and signing with the Mets. So that definitely can look bad on the outside for Cohen if he does not end up to be a Met. As for Correa, that would be, if he does not end up a Met, that would be two teams that did not like his physical. And, that would be two teams that a deal has already fell through. So he probably won't get that long-term contract. And so there's a lot of risk for both sides. I'd say that the Mets have a little bit more of the leverage because of the financial flexibility of the owner. And, obviously all this, they're willing to give him this long-term deal, but, there's just these stipulations that they're definitely going to have to implement. And it makes sense because it's definitely become a more universal or, an organizational type of concern about this guy's leg. I mean, there was this whole leg injury that he re-aggravated. And, there's just so many talking points that you can go off from this entire story. Am I ready to move on from it? Absolutely. Am I ready to get this thing done? Absolutely. Am I ready to see Carlos Correa at a press conference being welcomed at Citi Field? Absolutely. But, these things like this take time. I mean, these are just what negotiations are. I personally believe that the negotiations are done and that from what we have seen, it looks like they do have an agreement, the Mets and Correa, but they're just waiting for the MLB to approve of it because there's probably some stipulations in there. And that's pretty much it. Let's sign Profar. He can cover all field, DH, partial infield, and Escobar. I mean, here's the thing. If you bring in a bench piece like Profar, Escobar / Vogelbach or something, someone's going to go. I mean, again, like I said, lack of flexibility. You have 3 DHs, 3 catchers, and 3 infielders in your bench pool right now that can only make up 4 spaces. So someone's going to go. And it's going to be interesting. If we don't get Carlos Correa, you do see a trade. Do you see a trade for Alex Verdugo? I think, and then this sounds kind of stupid, but Alex Verdugo wouldn't be bad with the new with the new dimensions that they're bringing into Citi Field with that what is it, that right center field. That was one of the main reasons why I thought they would pursue Jock Peterson, but that didn't happen. But hey, I'm starting to feel like we're going to lose Correa. I mean, I'm just going as it's going. I mean, we're going on what, 12 days as this Mets Correa stuff has, so that's almost 2 weeks. So I mean, we're just continuing to wait, and you know, I can see that our poll right now in the chat is it's split up pretty decently. We have 17 votes right now. 50% of you 51% of you are very confident that a deal gets done. Somewhat confident is 34%, and then 15% are not confident. Probably waiting on the MLB and MLB PA to, yeah, exactly. And like we saw, this is one of those negotiations of, the possible service, not service time manipulation, but the just kind of like those manipulations, and that's definitely brought up a lot of heat between the MLB and the MLBPA recently, obviously, with the negotiations of the lockout last year. I feel like by Wednesday the deal will be announced. Boy, I hope so. I hope so. But for those of you who missed it over the week, it was kind of convenient. I was kind of I wasn't obviously feeling well these last few days, so I was, kind of out of the realm of everything. But no real news was really breaking. So you have that, obviously, but so it's kind of just, my luck of bad luck. But we did not put out a podcast, did not put out episode 4, mainly because there's just really not much going on. It's just basically just the Correa watch right now, and I had some other segments in there, but they just, there was no reason to have that with this type of big news right now. And then but we do have multiple videos that will be posted. Most likely, I think the first one will be out either, I'm hoping it's tomorrow, but Wednesday is the biggest guarantee. And then I have one for Friday that'll go out as well. And then we'll obviously have the podcast on Sunday of other news. And hopefully this whole deal is done. Tons of stuff going on right now. Guys, let us know as well when we do hit 1,000 what you guys want us to do for 1,000. If you guys want us to go live, take some, call-ins from people. They can ask their questions about some stuff live. If you want to just see the 4 of us scream at each other for an hour, we'll do that too. Do we realistically buy another bullpen arm? I think we should get a Trevor Williams replacement. The thing is, I think that they're taking a bet on either David Peterson or Tyler McGill being the Trevor Williams replacement, and then they're going to add whether it is a high leverage reliever or a style reliever such as Andrew Chafin, or maybe we talked about a trade for Liam Hendricks. There will be a video about that coming through this week, just as a hint. But yeah, I think the long man is something that I would have loved to just bring back Trevor Williams, especially for what he got from the Nationals. I would have done that. That would have been like a $3 million raise annually. So I would have done it. But you know what? I would have done a lot of different things during this off season. But you know what? They've done a pretty good job. I'd say they've done a pretty good job so far. Let me make sure this is this, because I want to. And we're, these chats are getting pretty hefty as for the conversation. So guys, I'll add a few mods to our chat eventually. I don't know yet. We'll see. Some loyal viewers in here. Obviously we'll consider doing some memberships and some emotes and stuff like that once we hit this goal. of 1,000, which is very, very, very close. And we're just continue to inch towards it as we gain subscribers every single day. And I can't thank you guys enough for how much we have grown, especially just in this last month. It's been incredible. The growth has been nuts. I feel like we probably would have hit this thing already if I wasn't out for the 3 days, because of just at the pace it was going. But, shit happens. But yeah, for those of you in here, let me know what you guys think of this after Correa. If they were to sign Correa, let's say Correa's here, what should be the next move? Williams will regress like Kreider? Absolutely not. You need to this dude Andrew, either you get in here or you don't, but stop just throwing around the word regress. Okay, you need to learn the meaning of that, the deep actual meaning of that shit. Hey, you think we have a problem with Correa? I am really getting worried. I mean, I don't know if you should be worried at this point. I think it's pretty much a shot in the dark. No news is good news from what we are hearing, but it can rapidly change. It definitely could rapidly change. I think they're just kind of waiting on the incompetent MLB for this. I don't really think the Mets and Correa are far apart. I think they've pretty much agreed on most things. They're just waiting for the approval of kind of some weird stuff. Thank you for making. Oh, thank you, Stony. Really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to put out some stuff every day, and that's the goal, obviously. Some days there isn't stuff to talk about, but some days are slow, some are. But we're live right now, and I think I'll be live for another maybe half hour, 40-ish minutes. You think once approval is in, he gets signed? I mean, I guess Cohen wants approval. They must have agreed. Yeah, that's what we're hearing. Again, this is from a report that came out. Let me try and find it, because this was one of those rumors about rumors. I'm just trying to find it here. Luckily, the market has not really changed that much ever since this whole waiting game with Correa has started. Yeah, so here's what it was. I'll show it to you guys. I'm trying to find the actual thing. Where the hell is this thing? All right, well, this was from KNBR. I forget what this is. It's like the sports leader. That was the source that they got it from. That Steve Cohen and the Mets are seeking approval from Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association about unique clauses being included into Carlos Correa's contract. So that's the report that we saw from KNB. I can't find the actual one, but this is obviously from Jenny Metz, obviously one of the big Twitter accounts for all things Mets. So this is basically what we're looking at right now, and that's basically what the last straw that has been grabbed recently is. stream. Oh, shut up. Don't you guys hate notifications like that? Okay. Well, you guys didn't really see that, but okay. So yeah, it's from this sort. This is just all based off of what I'm hearing. So don't shoot the messenger here. The next move, the Mets will figure out Keith's contract already. Yeah, that's another thing. That was weird. But that's the typical Wilpon negotiations. That's kind of how they are. They just they put one offer on the table, and then that's pretty much it. And they just stall things out. Other than Correa, your obvious needs are fourth outfielder, another bullpen arm. I want Chafin, but I've read he might be looking for a 3-year contract. Yeah. Kaspari Kapanen. Oh no, now somebody wants to beat the fucking Bruins. Of course it's you guys. I hate a lot of big notifications too. Yeah, I'm just getting some stupid shit that is not true at all. About the stream. It's just 2 monitors with 1 stream, so just trying to keep up with everything. Just get in. Yeah, it's very possible that the Mets do not want to give 3 years to Chafin, especially somebody who is already in their mid-30s. It's a reliever. They can be finicky. That's just how they are. It would be nice to have another lefty in that pen. I would have liked to go after, a Taylor Rogers, but he got paid pretty well after a tough second half of the year after getting traded to Milwaukee. And Chafin has been good all year. He's been good for good 2 years. So we'll see what happens. I think he'll get more. Either he'll get more in AAV and more, or if he doesn't get a 3-year deal, he'll get a 2-year deal. If he gets a 3-year deal, it will be more AAV wise compared to that. Do you think Correa news will pick back up tomorrow? Boy, I hope so, man. I really hope so. We obviously have these people making their educated guess of, I think this happens tomorrow. I think this happens Tuesday. I think this happens on Friday, but nobody really knows, I can say. The closed doors obviously make it a little bit tough, but God, yeah. Aaron Bummer, Mark Vientos, where do I sign right now? Again, there's a lot of moving pieces they got to look at once this Correa thing resolves itself. Whether it is, whether they do sign Correa or not, they still have a lot of work to do to deepen the roster, in my opinion. A lot of pieces have to be moved because whether you have Carlos Correa here or not, you have a lot of lack of flexibility. I'm sorry, you can't roster 4 DHs. Like, that just can't happen. That can't happen at all. It just can't happen. Trying to figure out what this is so it can stop annoying me, but you know what? I guess not. I guess not. Yeah. We also have Mendig that I keep forgetting about. Yeah, of course. That's another reason as to why that could push one of these pieces out. But yeah, I think, if these guys want to be in AAA, they could be in AAA, some of them. But where's your sidekicks today? Are they at work? Well, I know Andrew's available, but he's probably watching the Winter Classic. His Penguins are in it, so I don't blame it. Winter Classic's pretty fire. Even though Kenny Albert was putting me to sleep. As for Frank and Tony, I think they're not available today, but they usually are towards the end of the week. So yeah, I'm just here, getting back into the swing of things. I was out for these last few days. But I wouldn't call them my sidekicks. It's more like my entourage, my entourage, because like I'm the greatest of all time and they're just, my people, They keep me sane. What about what about bringing back Aaron Loop? I don't see that happening. Obviously, he did get that 2-year contract with the Angels. You know, it's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I love depth too. But like they need depth in other certain areas. Like you look at this Mets outfield depth chart right now. I mean, you have your Cano, Nimmo, and Marte, but outside of that, you have Jeff McNeil, who's basically your fourth outfielder, but starts every day at second base. You have Darren Ruff. That's pretty much it. Darren Ruff is also a corner outfield option. That's your next option after that. And then you have Khalil Lee, who hasn't really proven much at the major league level, you know? So I think like they're stacking up a lot in a lot of different. I think they're really stacking up in a lot of in like like these very scenario, like they've really stacked up in positions in quantity that you don't want to see them stack up with. But maybe, who knows, maybe that means that they, maybe that means that they move some of these pieces, and I hope they do. We know you're the best. We know you're the best. You're my favorite person. Seriously, this is a very unlikely statement. I'm a very I get very mixed feelings from a lot of people. So thank you for that. Pilar, what about him? Yeah, no. I'm good without that. I want, again, like, if they were to bring in a guy to bring off the bench, I'd love for it to be a Profar or a Pinder or someone who can play the infield and the outfield, so you can get, eliminate some of these roster spots, because you have a DH, obviously. You're only going to have a 4-man bench, right? Why don't I'd love to DFA Ruff, and I think they will. I think they will eventually, but apparently he does have trade value, and they are shopping him at this current moment. At this current moment, I'd say that it's like you're just waiting on Correa. Like, that's it. Like, everything's paused for Correa. We saw these rumors about, once this Correa move did get done, 12 years, $315 million. That was the number on the table. We thought that it was going to get full on done. That was before the Mets had the concerns that the Giants did with his physical. So we saw right after Correa was signed, not official yet, obviously, but Correa was linked to the Mets. Brett Beatty, is he on the move? Is Escobar on the move? We saw Escobar and Ruff being possibly shopped. The White Sox liking Escobar. We saw, the Liam Hendricks rumors, stuff like that. That was where those things were really flowing from, the Carlos Correa news. But now that we've come to the point where 12 days later, we're still awaiting the Carlos Correa news, and it's become such a big concern. That's just where we're at right now. And I think that's what we're looking at, and everything else gets put on hold, which kind of sucks. But, it looks like both sides are committed to getting a deal done still, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But from what we have heard recently, it looks like it's in the hands of the MLB, much less of Correa or Cohen or Epler or Boris or whatever. I've been a Mets fan since 1966 when I was Mets game. I'm not a fan of signing Correa, as sexy as it sounds to most. I think Beatty is going to be a stud at third base. Yeah, I mean, again, like, Correa is one of those game changer guys. I think anybody wants Correa to put him into that lineup. And I will tell you right now, Correa makes this roster so much better, and it opens up a lot more flexibility. The thing about Beatty is that I'd love to keep Beatty. I'm very high on Beatty. I think Beatty is going to be a great player. But like it kind of puts you in a position of convenience per se, because if you were to move Beatty to left field, because Canna is not going to be here long term, obviously. He has a expiring contract with all that. A team option in the third year. We'll see what they do with that. But Beatty could move to left field. And I will say that, it's one of those positional flexibilities of like, oh, Dom Smith, we'll just move him to left field. Beatty definitely has, like the frame, the arm, and like that's like his skill set is very left field. It does fit into left field very well. He does have an accurate and strong enough arm for left field. And that's usually, that left field is like out of every position, you need the least amount of range per se, shall we say, first base, whatever. But in the outfield, the left field is usually your weakest defender, but they have, an accurate arm, whatever, and they don't need that much range, right? Beatty's range at third base, which is a position that needs a lot of range, he doesn't really have it. Like he's a very lanky, he's not the biggest on quick step, stuff like that. He's not one of those guys, like he's the third baseman type. Like he's built like a first baseman to me, but like he has the skill set of a left fielder. I don't want to get rid of his bat at all. I think he's going to be, with how quick he gets to the ball and his approach and how advanced he is for the age that he's at, of his approach, I really believe that he could be, one of those 20, 25 homer a year type of guys, with those extra base hits, one of those huge guys in runners in scoring position of situational hitting, because that's how his approach is. And I don't want to get rid of that, obviously, but I think a lot of people are looking at it in this 2 to 3 year time frame. But you have these pieces with Carlos Correa being added that you can look to long term. And as for Beatty, if they do bring in Carlos Correa, which we're still waiting for, Beatty would move to left field, obviously, and they've classified him as a left fielder in the organization. There's been some reports about that. But as for that, Beatty, I think they like Beatty a lot, and I think they believe in him a lot, and it's kind of put them in a position where they can definitely move him to left field, and he can develop as a left fielder, because it's a position that doesn't take as much development, especially when you're at a position that required a lot more range. So I think he's got the body of a first baseman, in my opinion. What is he? 6'3", 215, something like that, right? He's got the body of a first baseman. He has the range and the skill set defensively of a left fielder. So I think it's a blessing in disguise, personally. And I don't. And again, it's like it is with all of these prospects. I don't think that they can develop as DHs, even though, Mark Vientos has kind of gone down that road recently. But like, these guys need to play every day. They need to get their everyday reps, obviously. Thank you for your insight. I appreciate your channel. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So you wouldn't trade Beatty for Devers? I don't see the reason to be honest. And I'm going to tell you right now, you bring in Correa, right? Again, this is all of the possibility if you bring in Correa, because that's literally all we're looking at if they bring in Correa, because we're all just sitting here, it's stalling. But if you bring in Correa, right? Devers is a third baseman. Most likely Devers is going to be a DH, correct? Beatty, who is young, controllable, not looking for an extension anytime soon, has that upside. But I will say that trading those sorts of assets for Devers, who's most likely going to be a DH, who's going to want a contract extension to be most likely a DH because Carlos Correa is going to be playing third base for the next, decade. Who knows what the contract is right now? But most logical position for Beatty is left field. Let him learn that position in AAA. Absolutely. That is 100% what I would do. Obviously. Yes, definitely. And then, of course, if you don't want to play Canna every day, and Canna is a 2 out of 3 type of game guy, again, trading Escobar, moving that money, bringing in Jerickson Profar, like a lot of these pieces with Correa on this roster become expendable. Some of these guys who are not going to be here long term, who you could move to help your roster right now and help it in the future as well. We got 100 people in here. For those of you who have not hit the subscribe button, make sure to do so. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I can't wait. I cannot wait because there's a lot that can go on in the future with 1,000 subs. So can't wait, folks. Can't wait. I have some thoughts on first base. That's for another time. Obviously. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. I personally am not the biggest fan of what is that? Okay. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Pete at first base. I mean, I think he's a little dopey in that position, but he likes to play there. He plays every day, and if that continues the production that he's doing with the bat, I'm okay with it. And that's another point about Devers. Talk about a DH, because anybody you bring in, any big bat you bring in here is most likely going to be a DH this year. That's another one. And that's another piece of value, of course, because you can add him to that rotation as well. For what it's worth, Mets farm is lacking quality left fielders. I love the idea. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, Beatty is not again, like I said, Beatty's not a situation where it's like, okay, well, he doesn't have a position. Move him to left field like Dom Smith. Yeah, he definitely has that type of frame, a type of skill set to be a left fielder. I think it takes the pressure off of him from being an actual third baseman. And he can focus on, what he is, and that's being, this advanced hitter that he's expected to be. And again, you never know. But we're just waiting on Carlos Correa, and then you can worry about that, Doesn't look like the Mets want to move Beatty. And I agree with that 100%. There's tons of other prospects that I would move, improve the roster. But Alvarez and Beatty are definitely not those guys, unless it's, a different type of circumstance of a generational type of player that you're trading for. But why do that when you have Steve Cohen's money that you can just play with, Steve Cohen's money's fun, very fun. 18 away from 1K. 18 away from 1K. I think we started this with 28 away. So plus 10 so far. If you're new, get us to 1K, folks. So close. We are very, very, very close. I think he could thrive with left field on the move. He can also bulk up a little bit more if you wanted to add. Yeah, and that's another thing about Correa that I'm excited for, because, he's a shortstop, a big, a more taller traditional shortstop. Now he can move to third base, and he's talked about how he can gain a lot more muscle, where he can focus on a lot more power. And, for as advanced of a hitter as he is, and how much production he has given without, that extra third base muscle, a guy who's 28 right now, still in the prime of his career, one of the best at his position. I mean, maybe he could be possibly even better as a player, and I'm excited. And, we all know that he has the range to play third base. We know he has the range to play any position. He has incredible range. If you were to talk about, over the last few years of, like infield range and just like overall range defensively, Lindor and Correa are in the top 5 with that conversation over the last few years, right? You have your Nolan Arenado there, of course. Trying to think of other guys, Victor Robles, the center fielder. He has incredible range. You have some guys obviously there, but like there are some of those anomalies of guys, who have all these tools and they basically have the range to play any position. Obviously, they're granted there's going to be some injury concerns with Carlos Correa, but you take that risk with everyone. I'll tell you right now. 126 votes on the poll right now, and it looks like 52% of you guys are very confident. 127 just changed. 30% somewhat confident. 18% not confident that a deal gets done with Correa. So there's a decent mix, I'd say. Not bad of a mix. But shout out to everybody in here, man. I really appreciate you guys coming through, talking baseball at any time or day. We'll make sure to possibly get that Discord up and running. For those of you who want it, let us know, because we'll have a more interactive community as it grows and grows and grows. With the good news, I'm just nervous. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all nervous. I mean, it's the Mets. It can be very unpredictable. But we'll see. I at this moment I'm not nervous yet, but from what we've heard, it's going in the Mets direction. It's turning to the Mets direction, but anything can happen at any point. So we'll see. I don't know. But yeah. So listen, Correa and Lindor got the left side, so you're gonna have to practice fly balls. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Of course. You wish you knew my first name? I'm Carson. It's me, Carson. This guy right here, Andrew, that's the Rhino guy, my second in command. And then we have the old guy, which is Frank, and then the guy from Hollywood, which is Tony. There's your rundown of all of our guys. But together it's Mets Weekly. So that's all you got to really remember. Have Correa goes to third. We'll see. I really hope that this deal is finalized and everything's done, and he's a Met by the World Baseball Classic, and we'll get to see him. And what's it called? And we'll get to see him and Lindor on the left side of the infield for Team Puerto Rico. That's going to be pretty fun. The World Baseball Classic is going to be a blast. I can tell you that, because we've just had such a crazy pool of talent enter the league ever since the last one. Obviously, with the pandemic, there wasn't a chance to do that, obviously, and now it's coming back for 2023 in March. So that should be fun. I don't know if we're going to cover that or not. It depends on what goes on that. We might cover it on, Andrew's channel maybe, or Frank's channel maybe. Maybe one of us we do that on our own channels. But it's whatever. Correa should agree to a shorter length of a contract. I think he has the age leverage on that, because again, he's a 28-year-old, 29, something like that, free agent. So that's definitely a prime example of a guy having leverage of a long-term deal. So it makes you, as someone, Carlos Correa, who was about to get a 13-year deal from the Giants, obviously it fell through. It makes you a little bit curious to see what Juan Soto gets. Carson, have you seen the Jeremy Pena interview where he explains how yeah, I saw something about that. I did see something about that. I just haven't seen the whole thing, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Carlos Correa is not only a great player, but he's also a very smart player. He really is. He knows what he's talking about. And he's also a big stat nerd, just like me. So and he's got the attitude for New York. So, whatever. How the hell do the Braves keep signing these team-friendly deals? Yeah. Well, the thing is that they always buy out arbitration. and that's what they do. So, they always set these guys up to be, 27-year-old, 28-year-old free agents, obviously. So, it may look like their entire career that they're locked down to these very shitty deals, but Austin Riley, let's say, he took a 10-year deal, obviously. Ooh, Marino tweet. Okay. I'll look at that as second. Obviously, he took a 10-year deal, but he's going to be a free agent. What is it, when he's 34, right? So he still has a little bit more left of that deal. Obviously, he got more being. We got a tweet. What's the deal? Anything? What's the deal? Any updates? What's the update? Marino? But yeah, it frustrates me, but they lock these guys down quick, and that's the main reason why we've talked about, if Alvarez has an incredible year this year, as the starting catcher, sign him. Okay, so Michael Marino of Fantrax, he's a big Mets source. If you guys do not follow him on Twitter, please do. He definitely knows his stuff. Anyone who's saying or thinking Correa/Mets delay is because of the MLB PA offices being closed are incorrect. That has had no part in this process. This is no comment on the process itself at all. I have no update on the negotiations. I just know the MLBPA being closed causing a delay narrative is not accurate. If they were to come to terms, they'd be able to come to a deal whenever. Okay, so that came out just 2 minutes ago from Michael Marino. So basically, that's not the delay. The delay is not the MLBPA offices. Martino is another type of human being, which we don't like to discuss here on this channel, who is just absolutely ridiculously annoying. But we won't get into that. So this is basically what came up. I just read that out for those of you who did not see it. Those of you who want to full screen your screen and see that. That's from Michael Marino, Fantrax. This guy definitely knows his stuff. He's been a reliable source for multiple years now. So for those of you who do not know, but it does make it very interesting to see what the holdup actually is. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm confused. I'm interested to see what happens. I really am. I'm very interested to see what happens. I don't know. I don't know whether to be nervous or not, or frightened or not, or excited or not. But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Interesting stuff. Let me get this thing. Taking a for this. Hold on. And up to date with everything. Okay. All right. So for those of you who have any more questions, let me know in the chat. I'll be live for another 10-ish minutes, and then I'll probably hop off here. And if there's any news, there'll be news. They love to do these things in bunches. So they usually they drop 2 pieces of news a day, and then they don't do anything for the next 5 days. So, the one day that I go live, and we'll go live again, right, for the Correa news. I can't tell what is going on. I'm going to tell you right now, it just seems like a crapshoot. But yeah. Yeah. All right. I would assume the delay. It's Martino. It's not Martino. Marino. Different guy. There's Andy Martino and Michael Marino. Two guys both cover the Mets. One's from SNY and one is from Fantrix. I forget what he's from. But no, he knows his stuff. He's I've talked to him a few times. He's actually he's a smart guy. He's got a lot of his he does his job very well. He's been on the money with a lot of things. But yeah, but for those of you who are in here, Happy New Year to those of you. Yeah, fan base and Sports Illustrated, I believe. Yeah, I don't care for Martino's. He's a none of us do. None of us care. 14. 14. Wow. 14 away from 1,000. I think so. Happy New Year, my man. Hope everything goes right, and I hope that Carlos Correa is a Met coming 2023 during this week. We would have liked it for Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, but would have liked it around the holidays. But, you know, these things happen. They just keep going. Yeah, as we continue to watch Correa, all eyes are on Correa. So, yeah. So, for those of you who missed it, I did say it during the stream. We're gonna have 2 videos out during the week, and one of them is going to be what was I gonna say? What do you make of Marino's tweet? I don't know, man. I really don't know what that means, and I'm starting to believe that maybe it's a holdup with the MLB or MLBPA of like one side is refusing, one isn't. But yeah, but for those of you, as I was saying, we'll have 2 videos out. I'll let you guys know what they are because they're pretty much some of them. So we have one which is possible Liam Hendricks trades. That's going to be one of them. And then another one is going to be either it's like 6 or 8, 8 spring training invites that the Mets should consider. That's going to be one of them. And then we might have I might have a third one, but I'm not sure. That will all depend on if the guys want to do something solo. Thanks for the video. Tons where that came from. Make sure to hit the sub button, turn on the post notifications. We usually go live, maybe once a week or whatever. We have our podcast that goes out every Sunday. It didn't go out this week, obviously, lack of news, and also that's how it is. Garrett Carr to the Niners. Don't think you can really be trading guys right now. So whatever, but I pretty much accepted that Carr is gone, so it's whatever. Top just making sure. One last Twitter check. Uh hmm. Making sure. There's one thing that I really wish. Redirect. I think you can. There's like a redirect thing for when you're thing. Has TonyMetro gone Hollywood on us? No, he's just usually available towards the end of the week. So no, it was me. I actually was the holdup. I was feeling like absolute shit for the last 3 days. And I'm just a baby when I'm sick. So I just can't focus on anything. But I rarely do get sick. But when I do, it's a tough order. It really is. But I'm here now, back into the swing of things. Thought I'd just go live here, talk to you guys for an hour, and talk about the Mets, because that's what we do here, because it's Mets Weekly. Because duh. For those of you who have not liked the stream, hit the like button. Be greatly appreciated. Subscribe. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which is so surreal. Thank you guys so much. I mean, I think we've gained about 300 in the last month, which is just absolutely crazy. Because the production is, I mean, just the numbers have just been going up, and we've just been getting new viewers every single day. So thank you guys so much for that. If you're new, if you're a Mets fan, up to date stuff. Thoughts on Dick Hammerbush? Well, he's not an asshole. I can tell you that. He's not an asshole. He is a dick, though. But yeah. So I'm hoping, that the Carlos Correa news drops tonight and we're back here. But as for right now, all right, I'll see you, Stoney. But yeah, so once we do hit this 1,000, we'll have some new stuff coming out, and we'll let you guys know about that as that progresses. But we're currently just, waiting to hit that goal, and can't wait. I cannot wait. I want to thank you guys for coming to this stream. I want to thank you guys for pretty much, all the support that you've given us in such a short amount of time, the last month, throughout our, whole rebrand, and, the podcast. The support on the podcast has been fantastic. I mean, just the support in general has been incredible. I can't thank you guys enough on the behalf of all 4 of us who are featured on this channel. Thank you guys so much. It is greatly appreciated. I wish we could thank every single one of you guys, but then some Mets news will drop, and then we get too busy to do so. So whatever. But yeah, let's go Mets. Final one in the chat. Correa, whatever you want to put in the chat, go ahead, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it's very, very soon. We have Correa news. We'll have some videos coming out towards the week. Lots of stuff coming, especially approaching 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which I can't thank you guys so much enough for. Once again, I think I've said that about 10 times already in the past 20 minutes. So other than that, I'm going to hop off here. And thank you guys for coming out, supporting us live. For those of you watching on the replay, hopefully this Correa deal comes out. Like the stream, follow us on TikTok. We have some, clips that go out in there free. Sometimes, we'll be a little bit more active during the season, obviously. And yeah. So we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Mets. Correa, we hope that you're a Met. Let's get this thing done so we can move on to more important things into the season, into spring training, and everything in between. So see you guys next time. Peace out. And thank you guys so much for coming out. We'll see you guys.